This is the Cherry Pick channel. Python tutorial videos. To print anything, we have the print function. If we just assign a value to a variable, the program does not give us anything. It will not write anything in the output window. But if we tell it to print the greeting variable, we will see the execution of the print command. In the print function, we can immediately pass the information that needs to be printed. Let's say I use the print command 3 times. We pass numbers directly, but we need to enclose strings and quotation marks. And we separate all data with a comma. We get this result. The enter data is separated by a space. And after that, there is a transfer to a new line, where the value of the second print is output, also separated by a space. And again transfer to a new line. The fact is that the print function has a parameter called sep from the word separate. By default, it is equal to a space, but you can change its behavior. To do this, you need to specify print in the command at the very end, separated by a comma, sep is equal, and we write the separation sign in quotation marks. For example, a comma. You can also specify the separator for the second print. For example, an exclamation mark. And now, when the program starts, we will get the separators we set. If you have one value and you specify a separator, then nothing happens. You need at least 2 values for the separator to work. Also in print there is a parameter that answers what will be at the end of the line. It is called end, and by default its value is a line break to a new one. A line break is written as a \n. If I apply a line break as a separator, then it will print each value from a new line. To delimiters, we'll add a space between the lines. But we can also change this parameter. To do this, I'll assign it a space value. Let's look at the result. I didn't put a space, so the lines stuck together. I'll put a space. Now we can see that the second and third prints are printed in one line. You can also write any number of characters in the end value. In this lesson, let's look at string output methods. Let's say we have a situation. Paul has $50. Mom gave him $20. His grandmother gave him $100. Grandpa took Paul to the bar and they spent $9 on beer for Grandpa and chips for Paul. Paul is 5 years old. He can read, but he can't count. Let's help Paul calculate how much money is in his piggy bank. To do this, enter the variables. Paul's savings are $50. Mom's gift $20. A gift from your beloved grandmother $100. Grandfather's gift minus $9. We can write everything down in one line and print it out as is. Our line turned out to be very long. Note the gray bar on the right. This paycharm tells you how long a string should be in your code. The recommended length of 80 characters is related to the common width of the monitor. There will be no error, but longer lines are inconvenient to read. I'll move the line to more convenient fragments and print it out. But when printing, the line turned out to be quite long. I've already told you about line wrapping. It's time to put our knowledge into practice. Do not insert spaces between hyphenation and text. All spaces will be printed. Let's go back to Paul's problems. With such a record, our program will not make calculations. And if Grandpa wants ice cream, then Paul's savings will be reviewed. So let's use variables in our output. The first option. We have variables that contain our values. Let's put them in. If we print it as is, then Python does not understand yet where the string is and where the variable is. To denote a string and a variable, we need to separate the strings from the variables with commas. Where the string is, put quotation marks. Do not forget about the dots at the end of the sentence. In the same line, we can calculate the balance of money using variables. And now we see the result we need. Consider the second method. Let's return the string as it was. And instead of values, we insert a special parameter %d. We use the %d for numbers and the %s for strings. We have all the numbers, so we put d. These signs say that any value will fit in their place. And what exactly you specify at the end of the line. You write the percentage, and in parentheses in order, write your variables. That is, in what order you want to insert them, in the same order, and write in parentheses. We have already done the calculations in the previous example, and now we are doing the same work. If you repeat yourself, then you need to create a variable with these calculations and use it. Run the program and see a similar result. The third method is to use the format method. You instead pass the values of the indices. Indexes start at 0, not 1. At the end of the line, apply the format method and pass your variables to it. From this list, the variables will be unpacked and the 0 index will go to Paul's savings. The first is a gift from my mother, the second is a gift from my grandmother, then a gift from my grandfather. If we change the gift of my grandparents, then Paul will remain in debt to the bar. There is also a new method. It's new to what I've shown you. This is the f-string method. It is the most convenient. I'm sure you'll use the f-string, but you should have known about the other methods. If you read code written in earlier versions of Python, you will know what these methods do. To write an f-string, you put the letter f at the beginning. Then open the quotation marks and write the text you need. In places where you need to use a variable, insert curly brackets and immediately write the variable you need in them. Note that PyCharm corrects our string to the required syntax. You can also work with variables inside parentheses. Python will return the result of the entire expression inside the parentheses. This method is more intuitive and convenient to work with the print. You have learned about the basic methods of printing. Do not worry if you do not remember everything at once. We will print very often and you will learn the necessary printing methods very quickly. I am waiting for your like and write in the comments about your problems in learning Python.